Hi, everybody. Today we are going I'm Lisa Gargis. Josh Lawford is here with us. And today we have a special guest with us. We have Paige Phillips, who is going to help us with our webinar today. So we're lucky to have Paige with us here today. But what we're going to talk about is working your book of business. Since we're still in OEP, it's very important that you work your book of business. And the reason being is because, as you know, during this period of time, people can still change their plans. And so if you're not working your book of business, you want to make sure that those people are not being reached out to by other agents, or they're not reaching out to someone else, because and making that change, because you need to be working your book of business. Sometimes we find that agents don't do that simply because they're worried about making that phone call. What if I have to get into, oh, this is going wrong? I'm worried about what they're going to ask me about, and I'm not going to know how to handle it. I'm going to get into a 30-minute phone call with them, and I don't want to do that. That's going to take up my whole day. And you just can't be worried about those things, because you do want to make sure that you're taking care of your members. And we have a lot of people that work just their book of business. They simply don't do any other marketing. They don't do anything else but work their book of business. And so we just wanted to make sure that you're taking care of your members. And today, that's what we want to talk about. We've asked Paige to be on the call today because she is somebody that takes care of her members and does work her book of business. And so we wanted her to talk to you a lot about how she does that, how she goes about that. So Josh, tell us a little bit about your thoughts on working your book of business today.
Well, I'll just tell you this. That's the most important thing over how many every years, almost 20 years I've been doing this is, leads come and go. Uh, even some referral things that you have going on come and go. They get dry, they get hot, but your book of business is always tried and true. And so that's the thing we just got to remember. And if anybody that we could have on today to talk about that, Miss Page is the number one person that comes to mind. See, look at her smile right there. Who wouldn't want to buy from Paige right there? And then, hey, before we get started, Lisa, I hope this is okay. I didn't even talk to you about this, but everybody, grab your Amazon app out, because we have, not only do we have a speaker, but we have a soon to be number one top of the bookseller list. Paige, if you today at some point, just you could tell them the name of your book and what it is and all that stuff. Because that's something very important that you've done. You've been working on it a really long time. So
yeah, a couple of years actually. And thank you, Josh and Lisa. So basically, it's called Medicare Playbook for Agents. It got on Amazon yesterday. You can do it by Kindle or purchase it, but it was really a accumulation of everything that I've learned since I've been in the Medicare business, and a lot of it is things that they don't tell you, like working your book of business. I concentrate a lot on retention, how to keep your clients, how to get referral partners. And so it really walks you through everything that you need to know on running your Medicare business, from beginning to succession planning. I've got a succession plan in place. You don't want to talk about that a lot, but it could happen. And what you may not realize in Medicare business is everything goes back to the carriers if you don't have a succession plan. So, the first thing, and we're talking about book of business, is that right now, the first thing I do is I audit my book of business every January, usually February. You've got to find out what you lost that you didn't know you lost. You may have moved some cases, but you don't know what anybody else might have moved. So I audit my book of business in full twice a year. Once after the first of the year, when I know everything's been issued, and then once right before AEP. So you have to know what your book is before you can work your book. So that's the first thing I would recommend, is go to every carrier site, download your book of business, and compare it to what you feel like you have on file. And then in my book, actually, I talk about investing in yourself and your clients. So I never advertise. I've never bought leads. I take that back. I do some local advertising, and really it's just to help out the local people here. I'm on the to-go menu or something like that. But I don't know that I'll ever get any leads, and that's okay. I just do it to help out. But I concentrate on referrals and referral-based business. And so I have a separate card that's different than my regular card. At the top of it, it says, "Don't keep me a secret. I appreciate your referrals." So it reminds your clients that you appreciate your referrals. And so that's the way you work your book, is make sure your clients know that it's okay for them to refer your business. If they have to ask you, "Can I give your number to somebody?" then you haven't done your job. Of course you can give my number, to somebody. And so by continuously calling them back, I can't tell you how many calls I get, and they say, "Well, I have an agent, but they never call me back." And so you've got to make them feel like they're a part of your family. It's okay to have an assistant that calls them back, or you can text them or whatever. Just make sure you stay in touch with them. And of course, the birthday cards and the Christmas cards. But one thing I do that I don't think a lot of agents do enough is, when you get that phone call that they want to know how much their copay is because they're having knee replacement surgery next week, or for whatever reason, and you write that down and send them a get well card. That goes a long way to your current book of business. It's like, "Hope your recovery went well. Please let me know if you had any issues with the insurance. I'm thinking about you." Just anything that they call you about that would generate you sending them "I'm thinking about you" card, because they're not going to get it, from their car insurance salesman. I mean, so it just solidifies the fact that, you feel like they're a part of your group. So I just tell my downline agents, take the money that you were going to go buy leads with and get you a professional brochure, a professional folder, something that makes you look a little bit more professional, some pens or something that you can give your clients and reinvest in your clients. A refrigerator magnet that they can put on their refrigerator, that that you're always front and center. And I put this in my book, I have one refrigerator magnet that led me to 6 leads, because they had a Thanksgiving at their house and their sister saw it and said, "I'm turning 65. This is your agent." Yeah. So I wrote her sister, her husband, 2 neighbors, a cousin. I mean, I can't even tell you how many clients I got off of that one refrigerator magnet that I sent to my client. Now that doesn't happen every day, but they have friends that come to their house. And so, people say, "Well, I don't do a lot of swag." I said, "You don't understand. Leave the pens with the waitresses when they're in your doctor's offices, and you get your name out there that way." But that's working your book, and letting them know, "I'm here for you during the year as well." Now I spend my time and this is a little bit off subject during AEP, is I go ahead and send out my letters in August for their drugs, because that's going to be the biggest time consuming, is getting those drugs in the system. And then we just hit the buttons in October. So anything you can do off season, right now, what my assistant does is she works birthday cards like 3 or 4 months in advance, when we had every birthday card ready to go from August, so that it was just ready to go. Now I had some new ones or whatever, but the bulk of the birthday cards she did all the way through the end of the year, so that we didn't have to, "Oh my gosh, we didn't do October birthday cards." So anything you can do right now at your book of business in the off season is what you need to do. I'm trying to look at my notes. And Sly Broadcast. I don't know if y'all have talked about this before, but Sly Broadcast is a great way to keep in touch with them. We have it set up. Sly Broadcast is ringless voicemail. and it's like $60 for 1,000 phone numbers. And so when we write a book of business or we write an application, my assistant puts it in, Chase puts it in for 2 weeks out, and a voicemail comes on and says, we just want to make sure you got your ID card. If you haven't, be sure and let us know. It's just a touch system. And I want to start doing more of that in the middle of the year. Hey, you've had your policy about 6 months. Hope everything's going well. And you pre-record the message, and then you just set it up whenever you want to get it sent. And it's just a voicemail to them. It's your voice saying, I'm checking on you, making sure everything's going good. Because if they don't ever hear from you except once a year annual enrollment, they're going to, pick up the phone and listen to the next person if they feel like you just don't care about it. But retention is the name of the game in this business. It is. And if your clients are happy, they will refer you. You don't have to. I beat the streets the first couple of years, and I went to every event. I went to flea markets, whatever car shows. I mean, I went to doctor's offices, my own doctor, and said, I'm doing Medicare, Facebook and everything. And now I'm very blessed because my clients are happy, and when they're happy, they love to refer. Seniors love to say, go eat at this restaurant, go do this, they love it. And call my Medicare agent. And that's what your goal should be, is that every client should be so happy that they're just referring you and your phones are just ringing off the hook, is there anything else, Lisa, you want me to go over? I'm just kind of rambling of ideas and stuff, but
No, Paige, all this is great information. And I'll tell you, I had never thought about when somebody called and asked me about a copay, to afterwards send them, if they're having surgery, to turn around and send them a get well soon card, or that's awesome. I never have thought about that. So,
and of
but
course, cards goes without saying as well, but the get well card is, just an extra plus.
absolutely, yeah. But I mean, prime example here is Paige. She's gotten to the point where she's not out beating the streets. It's simply working her book of business and taking care of her people. And now all she's got to do is just get those people to go out and refer her. And obviously, she's got a book out. And I'm glad that we talked about that today, because all you got to do is go get her book, order her book off of Amazon, and read about it. There it is.
Upside down, but anyway, and it's a football theme, of course, but you can just Google Medicare Playbook for Agents, and it is on Kindle. If you don't want to order the hardback, you can just read it. So hopefully you'll get some good tips out of there.
And we've got a lot of people on here. I know I'm going to use Joe Fowler as an example. He's on here. I know Joe works his book of business as well. That's all Joe does. And a lot of people on here probably do the same. But anybody that, any of these veteran agents that they would not mind you reaching out to them at all and talking to them about how you do that. So if you're a newer agent and you just want some advice on how to take care of the people that you have, especially a newer agent and you're starting out, you want to make sure that you're starting out the right way. And that is touch points with your book of business. You just don't ever want to lose touch with the people that you have. You don't ever want them to say, well, she came and wrote me, or he came and wrote me, and I've never heard from them again. That's the worst thing that could ever happen, because you just don't want somebody saying that. How do you feel about that, Paige?
Yes, you're exactly right. And I cheat a little bit. I have all of my clients on a spreadsheet as well as Medicare Pro, but Medicare Pro times out after a certain amount of time. So they'll call in and I immediately pull it up, and I'll say, you're in Hayden, right? And they think I just knew that off out of 2,000 clients. I knew they still live, or you're in Shelby County or whatever, or you've got Blue Cross, right? And they just think I remembered that, even though I just cheated and looked on the spreadsheet. But just the little things like that, or we just changed you, last year, anything. And I take little notes. And there's a book that we've got a good speaker coming up at our conference called, I can't remember his name now, but I just read his book, Find the Keys. And it's how to remember things. And what they tell you is, if they're Alabama or they're Auburn or they got dogs or they got grandkids, try to write those things down when you meet with them. And then when you're talking to them, how's those grandkids doing? Or, Alabama lost that game, or, whatever you can talk about to remind them that you remembered your conversation of, they did some trip or something. And put your notes in your little Medicare Pro and or whatever CRM system you use, and it just reminds them that they're family. Now the bad part about that is they will talk your head off. So here's my secret to that. I've got some clients that I know will talk to me like an hour. So I might let them go to voicemail during the day. And then when I get home, I'll call them 5:30, 6 o'clock. They love that. They're like, oh, you call me after hours. And I'll sit there and I'll listen to them, but I'll answer emails on my laptop. I mean, I am working my head off on my recliner, but yet I've taken that hour. Whatever they had to ask me only took like 5 seconds. And then they got to tell me about everything else. And so it's just a little tactic I do, because then I don't have to take that hour during the day of missing important stuff. And I just talk to them 6, 7 o'clock at night. They don't care. And so it's a little secret. If you've got those one or two that are going to be a long conversation, and I know everybody knows who they are.
Hey, Paige, how do you do that with all the chickens you have? I mean, you have
Oh,
to have
whatever. I feed the chickens and then I go sit in my recliner and do my work. So I don't have chickens. That's Jenny. I think Jenny got on here, didn't she? It seemed like Jenny Walker was on here. Jenny is the chicken lady. But anyway, but that's just my little secret of I thought I saw Jenny on here. Maybe that's another Jenny. Of what you can do with those long-winded people. That's the hardest part.
Too, we all that's one of the things that I was talking about at the beginning is sometimes as agents we think, gosh, I don't want to call these people because I know I'm going to be on the phone for so long. And you can learn, there's tips on how to learn how to handle that. You know, I'm going to throw a name out here that some of us all know. Tony Kenward taught me how to cut that off in being so nice, but cutting it off. You can just, if you've got somebody that's real long-winded and that seems to be the day, that everybody just wants to keep rambling, you can just real quickly say, oh my gosh, I've got somebody calling on the other line. I've got to grab them. Look, I love you. But I need to go. Just real quickly, I love you, but I need to go. I need to grab this other call. And it's just a real quick, I've got somebody else, I got to go. I love you, but I need to go. And you're just real nice telling them you're glad you got to talk to them, but you really need to go. And you can work that out in your own, however you want to do that. But it's just a nice way of getting off the phone. You can control those conversations. You really can. Not everybody has to be a 45-minute call, I promise. And you can very nicely get off the phone with people. But sometimes another thing I want to ask Paige, maybe how she handles these, because I know a lot of agents worry about this, is maybe calling people and you're worried about what they're going to ask. Like maybe I'm not going to have the answer to that. I know how a lot of people feel about that, but I'm curious how Paige handles those calls.
You mean, would they have questions that I don't know the answers to?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. And I tell them up front during the enrollment, I say, look, I don't know all the answers, but I know how to get the answers. And so, sometimes I tell them to call me first. I say, call me for everything. I don't care what it is, call me first, because more than likely I can answer the question for you without calling the insurance company. And that's another way where you're getting them to call you. I know it generates a lot of calls, but you can answer most of those questions. I got this letter, for the prescription payment plan, and you can explain what that is, and just all kinds of, now I'm having to pay copays and I didn't before. And then you have to say, well, during COVID, we didn't have copays for the drugs. And so, most of the answers, but you also know how to get it. And they appreciate you hanging up the phone and then finding the answer and calling them back. And then I do tell them, either myself or Chase, my assistant. It's really hard for Chase because so many of them want to keep talking to me. And I said, well, Chase knows about what I do. So, feel confident talking to her. But I'll tell you what, one thing that has been a game changer for us is on my voicemail, I put, for faster assistance, you may want to just send us a text message because we get Ring Central on our computers. And I cannot tell you how many people would just send us a text and then we can answer that quick. I can answer that while I'm on the phone, or Chase can answer it because we got Ring Central on our computers. And so they just want you to get back with them. Even if they sent you a text, as long as you got back with them, they're fine with it. It's just one little quick question, or send us a picture of that letter and we'll respond. So either how you do it, whether it's text message, voicemail, whatever, email, just get back with them. That's all they want, is somebody that will respond in a timely manner. But yeah, I don't know all the answers. Still don't know all the answers.
And the point of that is we're never going to know all the answers. So many things change all the time. And so it's never not okay to say, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know is okay. And so if they ask you a question and you just don't know the answer, it's just okay to say, look, I'm not sure about that. So what I'll do is I'll get you the answer and I will get back to you. Now, the key to that is that you got to get back to them. Make sure that you do that. But I just want you to know that it's okay to say, I don't know, because we don't know all the answers. And sometimes that's what worries agents about calling, making that phone call, is I'm worried that I'm not going to know an answer to a question that they asked. But that's okay. We don't know all the answers. We're never going to know them. So just make sure that that doesn't keep you or hinder you from calling that member, because they'd rather you make that touch point than not make that touch point. Okay.
And there's times when they will have to call the company, for a specific claim or whatever that, because of HIPAA, we can't do that. But, at least they've called us first. And then I'll explain to them. I said, yeah, you can thank HIPAA. I'm sorry, but I can't help you on that one. And, wished I could, or whatever, but they appreciate that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Josh, I know we've been talking a lot. What about you? Anything you want to add?
Well, I have actually a couple takeaways, and then it's something I want to say at the very end. But number one is, and I've said this on other calls we've done, the biggest uh, problems that you may think when people are calling will turn into the biggest opportunities. I'm telling you, and we've talked about it. You've heard us say it. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Just do it. Just jump out there. You have support from so many different levels of folks that can help you. Also, one thing I would say is, try to get you a personal mentor. I know that myself and Lisa, when we were, agents back in the day, we gravitated towards those agents and asked questions, and we probably thought we were annoying them, but we weren't. They were happy to help us. So don't feel like you're on the island ever. My two takeaways is one, is that, I think that Paige is officially more techie than Paul Todd. After all these things she told today. Takeaway number two is, if Lisa ever hangs up on you, gets off the call, we know she's really got a call coming in. So y'all remember that. And third, I would get in trouble and I would lose the brownie points that I hopefully have coming my way if I didn't give Paige like a 30-second elevator speech to tell us about NABIP real quick. I think that would be the perfect time for her.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, and I put this in my book as well, I would not be where I am without NABIP. I've been a member 33 years, and a lot of my referrals come from the employee benefit brokers. And so you don't realize that, they're there, they don't want to know anything about Medicare, and they want to refer you. And so, plus the professional development, that I have, the camaraderie, the friendships. And I love this business because we're all competitors. Everybody on this call is, but yet we love to share ideas. And so I have found that, NABIP's my home, love it. And I appreciate that, Josh. But our dues are only like $40 a month. It is well worth it for just the professional development. And not only that, we have our own certification, and I take both. I take the AHIP and the NABIP just because I want to use the NABIP certification logo, because we're not allowed to use the AHIP, but you can take that NABIP certification logo, you can put it on your business cards, you can put it everywhere. It gives you a little bit elevated of more professionalism that you've got that, that certification as well. So a lot of involvement. We're leaving for DC. Monique and I, actually, she's on the call Friday to go advocate for everybody on this call. And we're going to meet with all the legislators, and we go once a year to Capitol Conference and sit down. Oh, Josh is going to be there as well. And we're going to talk to the legislators about, what affects our business, the Medicare business. So a lot of things involved, and I appreciate it, Josh. I know it's more than 30 seconds, but if anybody wants to join, give me a buzz, nabip.org, and just go on and join.
And just put down Josh's who referred you. His name is Josh Lawford on there.
He'll get some brownie points for that. That's all he gets. But our conference is in Paul Malore. That's who I was trying to think of, is the mentalist that's speaking at our conference in May, and Mellor, Paul Malore, and he wrote tons of books. But our conference is at the Grand Hotel, May the 7th and 8th. It's going to be a good time.
So we're getting close to 9:30. I just wanted to just kind of sum all this up. We just want to make sure that you're working your book of business and understanding how important that book of business can be. Please reach out to Paige, me, Josh, any veteran agent that you know of, that they'll be willing to help you and give you ideas on how to work your book of business. I know we've talked a lot today. I think you've heard the word Medicare Pro and CRM a lot today, from Paige, and that's a good way of keeping up with your book of business. If you don't have a CRM or something that you're working with, that might be something that we might need to talk about on one of these calls soon. And maybe that's a good way for you to start doing that, because you do need a good way to keep up with your book of business. But we're glad that you joined us. I think Josh said he had something that he wanted to touch on at the end.
Oh, that was it. I was just trying to spotlight NABIP right there, and then just, yeah, like, we got a lot of people using Medicare Pro. If you're somebody that I know Lisa, they're really involved in that now. And then also we have and there's another free CRM. If you're an advocate agent, you have access to that too. So there's a bunch. It's not souped up like your Medicare Pro is, but you have that also. We talked about calling people back and all that stuff. There's a lot of retention tools that we have in Advocate University. So if anybody is interested, and you've heard Lisa and us talk about 30, 60, 90 days calls, and I'll feel free to show you those if you ever want to have those. So anyways, thank you, Lisa. You and Heather are amazing. Thank you, Paige.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paige, thank you so much for joining us. We didn't give Paige a lot of time today.
Right.
A lot of time to get ready for today.
Y'all gonna do ACA, and I'm like, not me. I refer all that ACA business. Y'all can have it. So,
but thank you for joining us, Paige, and make sure y'all go to Amazon and pick up her book. I think it will be real helpful for all of us. So we appreciate you all being here. Of course, Heather now is going to take over with ACA. And thanks, Heather.
Thank you. Thank you, Paige and Josh and Lisa. That was great information. I enjoyed it. it was
Good.
useful, very useful. And it can be useful for ACA as well. I mean, that's just good advice. So thank you so much.
Good.